Hey everyone, I'm Scott Stokely, and I'm going to explain the PDGA rating system in less than 3 minutes using almost no math. So it's going to be a super oversimplified version. And if you want the complete explanation, there'll be a link below to my full video on the PDGA ratings. But here we go. So it basically began with comparing players when they got to meet head-to-head and applying a formula that said when players beat other players by a certain number of strokes, it was assigned a certain number of points, which ended up being a basic rating system, woefully inadequate, but it needed to start someplace so it could be fine-tuned. Then the question became, how do we compare players to each other? Well, the first thought was they could give ratings to courses, but it turns out you can't do that. Okay, not only do courses change over time, pins get moved, trees grow up, but day to day, the grass gets mowed, bushes get trimmed, logs are pulled off fairways, but even round to round, it could be windy, it could be rainy, it could be beautiful out. You simply cannot give a rating to a course. It would always be super arbitrary. Well, what the PDGA ratings people did is they applied, this is the only math, really quick, something called regression to the mean. Okay, it's the basic idea, says that the larger the sample size of a random event, the closer the results will be on average to what probabilities predict. Okay, basically it means if you flip a coin 10 times, on average you expect it to come up heads 5 times. If you flip it 10 times and it comes up heads 8 or 9 times, you're not that surprised in a sample size of 10 flips. But if you flip a coin 100 times, it is almost never going to come up 80 or 90. In fact, it's rarely going to come up heads more than 60. Okay, the larger the sample size, the closer you get to average. Well, if a few people that have pre-established ratings meet on a course, play, that doesn't tell you a whole lot. 3 or 4 people can all have a hot round, making the course seem easier than it was. But when 72 players play a course, in other words, you get 72 flips of the coin, you are going to get within a fraction of a stroke almost every time of what that course's average actually is in those pin positions, under those conditions, in that situation. It means you can get a pretty decent rating applied to that course and then compare the players who shot that course to the rating system. Even this is imperfect because regression to the mean also says that a sample size of one tournament is not as predictable as 5, 10, 20 tournaments. But once the ratings take place over many, many years, they get pretty darn close. And when you look at the results of tournaments and players' ratings do tend to predict, on average, the results. But the reason golf is so much fun is the sample size of one tournament. Anything can happen.